It's already been weeks since the beginning of the season and I haven't even done a weapon video yet. Well, looks like I gotta tackle that today. Heads up everybody, my name is SentinelGray and welcome to the channel. Listen, before I talk about weapons, I just want to remind you, if you like what you see and what I do here, please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment if you have any questions. Those of us who make videos here on YouTube, don't ask you this just because it's a meme. It actually helps us out whenever you do all this stuff. Seriously, no joke. Now, let's get on to the new stuff. Season of the Lost has brought a ton of weapons for us to get while we wait for the full 6 months of this entire season. For now, I want to focus on the Lost weapons, as I call them. These are the weapons that you can get from the seasonal activities and from the Umbral engrams this season as well. In total, there's 6 weapons, including our first looks at stasis damage type weapons. And of course, with new weapons, we have a handful of new perks as well, which ironically number at 6 as well. Let me tackle those first though, before I go on to the guns and weapons that we have. The 6 new perks this season vary in their uses, but often seem to be a bit subjective depending on who you are or what you like to use. Ensemble is a perk that could really help if you like to play near your teammates a lot. It improves handling and reload speed when teammates are near. Few things to note though. This perk isn't one that stacks, so if you have more than one teammate near you, it doesn't give you an increased effect. 2 other things that stuck out to me while we were testing this is that the furthest away that your teammate can possibly be for you to get the buff is 15 meters, which is actually a pretty far distance. The final thing is that this perk works through walls. So if any of your teammates are around you within that 15-meter range, whether they're behind cover, through walls, whatever, the perk is activated for you, which is really nice. Probably a really good option for PvP. The next one is an old D1 favorite, Shoot to Loot. This perk does almost exactly as the name says. You can shoot ammo bricks to loot them, which not only gives you ammo back, but also fully reloads your entire arsenal. The only downside to this is that you can't loot engrams or moats with this thing, so you can't really troll your friends. However, in PvP, you could definitely do that because you'd be stealing special away from them, so have fun. Moving on, we have Encore. With Encore, precision final blows grant a stacking range bonus to the weapon. Non-precision final blows remove these range stacks, but grant a bonus to accuracy and stability when all of the range stacks are removed. This perk to me is a little bit more of a curse than a blessing. I get the idea of pretty much giving you a bonus no matter how you kill an enemy, but taking the range stacks away, all the way down in order to get the stability stacks is kind of like to me, but I understand why it is the way that it is. And granted, maybe right now I don't see the full value in it. Maybe later on down the road, or some of you who use this perk a lot, maybe you'll see more value in it than I do. Next, we have one of the more unique perks this season with Headstone. Headstone spawns a stasis crystal at the position of death on an enemy that you kill, specifically with a precision shot. This is probably going to be huge for future builds with stasis, and I'd even go as far as to say it might even be a decent play in trials. Like having to go near a stasis crystal to revive your friend is almost a death sentence. A key detail to this is that it has no cooldown, so it works on literally every precision kill you get, so you can very easily turn Sorrow's Harbor into a field of stasis in no time. Adagio is the next one that's pretty unique. After defeating a target, this weapon fires, charges, and draws more slowly, to account for fusion rifles and bows, and additionally gives you increased damage. This effect usually lasts for 7 seconds, but out of some of the testing that I've seen, both on the rate of fire decrease and the damage increase is around 20% for both. As an example, if you get a kill with a hand cannon, it fires around 20% slower, but does around 20% more damage than what it usually does. I believe these effects vary on the weapon, so hand cannons may be different than fusion rifles, and both would be different than shotguns. The final perk that we got this season is called Harmony. Final blows with other weapons improve the weapon's damage and performance for a short duration. With the testing that I've seen, the effect holds for 3 seconds after a kill, then once you switch, lasts 7 seconds. So you have 3 seconds to switch to your Harmony weapon to get the perk to activate after a kill. Then once you switch over to that Harmony weapon, that weapon gains the damage and handling increase for 7 seconds. I believe the damage increase to this is like somewhere around 20% as well, similar to Adagio. That's the basics for the new perks that are out. Luckily, all these perks come on the new weapon, so you can experiment with them to your heart's content. But what are we looking at here in terms of weapons? Well, let me start with the least most interesting weapon, then work on what I consider the most interesting. Canis Major is the new heavy solar grenade launcher that arrived this season. Heavy GLs haven't had their time in the limelight for a good long while, like ever since the last season of Forsaken, I think. So overall, this probably isn't going to be something that you'll want to chase. However, that doesn't mean I don't have a few roles for you just in case you want to future-proof yourself or just use it. On both of these roles, you're going to want Quick Launch in the first column and Spike Grenades in the second column. Quick Launch is going to give you improved velocity and handling, letting you get the grenade launcher out a bit faster. Spike Grenades will help increase your damage on direct hits, which is always welcome on any type of GL. The first role is going to be a crowd control variation of this weapon and focus mainly around chain reaction. It'll allow you to wipe out anywhere from 5 to 8 enemies at a time with 1 grenade, depending on how close they are. The perks in the third column can vary between 2. Either Ensemble or Clown Cartridge would help with any crowd controlling you may need. Ensemble will help with handling and reload speed while allies are near, and Clown Cartridge will be able to give you like 2 or 3 grenades more in the magazine than you normally have. The second role is just in case the heavy grenade launcher meta comes back around again. So with Quick Launch and Spike Grenades, you'll want Clown Cartridge for that bonus ammo, and then Vorpal Weapon in the final column. Vorpal Weapon, of course, giving you a 15% damage increase to bosses. I don't see the grenade launcher meta coming back anytime soon, but I mean, you never know. If you were to ask me 6 months ago about fusion rifles, I probably would have laughed. Next is the fusion rifle Iota Draconis. This thing can be a good option for you if you are a new or returning player this season and do not have a good fusion rifle already. Since it's considered a high impact frame fusion rifle, its charge time is abysmally slow, but hits like a truck. If you want this thing to deal with enemies like knights, minotaurs, ogres, and captains, my suggestion is Fluted Barrel to help increase handling and stability. This is going to help you get the weapon out faster because you'll most likely be using this every so often in a firefight. Particle Repeater to increase stability so each bolt that you fire actually lands on target. Ensemble, which will help your handling and reload speed when around allies. And Harmony, since you'll be using this thing as a workhorse, and while you're in the thick of battle, you can probably trigger this with extreme ease. With that entire combination, it's going to be a weapon you can just pull out and delete any of the enemies that I talked about before with extremely little effort. Now, if you're a new player and just want to deal damage to bosses, whether they be in strikes and or raids, I have this one for you. Polygonal Rifling will be the best to give you the majority of the stability boost that you want, keeping you on target. Ionized Battery to give you a max of 7 shots in your magazine so you can keep your high damage up for longer. Ensemble, which since you'll be dealing damage to bosses with this, you'll want that increased reload speed we lost with your magazine. And High Impact Reserves to increase your damage as your magazine gets lower, which can really stack on the damage. Since fusion rifles this season are getting extremely favorable treatment, you'll be able to use this pretty heavily if you want to. Remember, if you run this to equip this season's Particle Deconstruction mod, which increases your damage from fusion rifles and linear fusion rifles up to a max of 45%. Moving on, we have the Fractithist Stasis Shotgun. Not gonna lie, the sound design on the Stasis weapons are goddamn beautiful. This is a precision frame shotgun, but not one of those slugs that a lot of people like. Since this is the first Stasis weapon that I'm talking about, I want to clear up a few things just in case you're curious about them. Just because they're Stasis doesn't mean they apply the slow or freeze effect on hits. Stasis is literally just a damage type like Solar, Void, and Arc. In PvE, you're probably going to be using shotguns the same way you're going to be using Iota Draconis, to kill a Hive Knight or something when you're in a tight spot. Most likely, you won't be using this for damaging enemies who can stomp you out of existence or grandmasters of any sort. Because of that, I'm going to give you a very loose recommendation for this. For your barrel, you'll want smooth bore because range for a shotgun. Why not? Next, you'll want assault mag to increase not only stability, but also your rate of fire as well. For your third column, I would say you'd be safe with either slideways to help your range, stability, and automatically reload a portion of your magazine, or ensemble, which helps get that gun out and reload faster. Your fourth column, I'd say play around with harmony and adagio. Either way, you get a bonus to your damage, but you go about getting it in different ways. Adagio's hit to your rate of fire should be offset by the increase you get from assault mag, and harmony will save you during those intense engagements that you've already killed a few enemies before swapping. Like I said, you're not going to be using this for boss damage or in any Grandmaster scenario, so you don't really have to min-max the hell out of this one if you don't want to. Next is the auto rifle Crysura Mello, Crystal Marshmallow, Christopher Milano, whatever the hell it's called. This thing is a solar high impact frame auto rifle. Think age-old Bond from Last Wish, but solar. Since this thing is a high impact auto, it's going to need a ton of help in the stability stats. So both builds, for everyday use and for Grandmasters, are going to reflect that to a T. Both builds are going to have polygonal rifling and steady rounds. Both are going to be immensely helpful with the stability, though I know steady rounds decreases your range a bit. Believe me, this thing has more than enough to spare. Now, I don't usually give suggestions on Masterworks because I know it's hard enough as it is already to get the perk rolls you want for weapons, but I'm going to be honest. If you can get a stability Masterwork on these rolls, it is going to be absolute money for you. Now, for your general everyday roll, you're going to want Heating Up and Frenzy. Heating Up will increase your stability, accuracy, and recoil direction once you get a kill, and that can stack up to 2 times. Once you get this activated, this thing is gonna be a laser. Frenzy, on the other hand, is going to help you in 2 different places, damage and reload speed. After 12 seconds in battle, you get a 20% damage increase to the gun along with the handling and reload speed, giving you a bump in every stat that we haven't touched yet. For your Grandmaster version of this weapon, we'll be wanting 4 times the charm and Frenzy. Frenzy I already told you about, but 4 times the charm is going to allow you to keep the damage on when you keep hitting those crits on any enemy you come across in GMs. For every 4 precision hits, you get 2 bullets back. Usually not something I'm a fan of, but in Grandmasters, I cannot ignore its usefulness. Moving on, we're almost done, guys, don't worry. Wolf Tone Draw is the new arc bow for the season. This is a precision frame bow, so think of either biting winds or point at the stag. For this, I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't really use bows much until this season, like I didn't really at all. And it kind of forced me to with the overload rounds only being on bows. Using it on swords is just a nightmare. However, I'm going to try my best in giving you some decent rolls. Whenever I think of bows, I'm assuming that accuracy is an extremely big factor in the bow's stats. So these rolls will kind of focus on that. If I'm 100% wrong, or if they focus on something else, or if it's better to focus on something else, please let me know down in the comments. I'm willing to learn. The first roll for general PvE usage. Tactile string and straight fletching are going to add to the accuracy I'm looking for while also giving you a little bit of bump to stability. For your 2 difference maker perks, we're going to have rapid hit to cut down your draw time and adagio to bump it up again but give you a bonus to your damage. Right now, I'm not sure if the effects of these 2 perks cancel each other out or overlap in some way, shape, or form for your draw time. But if these 2 happen to work together, you should have a pretty good powerhouse of a bow. For the Grandmaster option, we'll be sticking with the same string and fletching along with rapid hit, but trade out adagio for frenzy. This will give you free damage if you're in a fight for more than 12 seconds, which is well above the average time for a firefight in GMs. So if you're not using an exotic bow for overload rounds, feel free to farm this one out. Finally, we have probably the most interesting weapon in the Lost Weapons arsenal. Why is it interesting? Because it can roll with every new perk that came out this season. All of them. Vulpakula is the new 180 RPM Stasis hand cannon that we have access to. If you know 180s, then you know this thing has a massive amount of stability and severely lacks in the range department. However, this thing has made a lot of people turn their heads because of what it can roll on it. As per the usual, I have roles here for general PvE usage and Grandmasters, but honestly, there's so many different roles that this thing can have. I'm going to highly suggest that you play around with almost every single role that you can get on this gun. Your general usage one is going to have hammer forged rifling to give you an increase to range without any drawbacks, and tactical mag will increase your magazine size, reload speed, and stability stats. For your third column, I'd say go with either outlaw or ensemble to help reload speed either while you're around allies or whenever you get a precision kill. And for your fourth, you'll want adagio. When adagio procs on Vulpakula, it slows down the rate of fire to almost be in line with a 140 hand cannon, but deals more overall damage than one, and has the benefits of a 180, the mag size, and the stability. For Grandmasters, we'll stick with the same barrel and magazine, but change up the third and fourth columns. Here, we'll want the roll with shoot to loot and explosive payload. Shoot to loot is going to allow you to pick up ammo from however far that you want to be, as long as you can shoot it. Plus, having it reload your entire arsenal is extremely nice for endgame stuff. Explosive payload is going to guarantee a portion of your full damage at any range, plus help with overload champs and make them a whole hell of a lot easier. Overall, we have a lot of options and weapons this season, and with the Season of the Lost being 6 months long, we have all the time in the world to farm out what we need. I hope this video has helped you or gave you some sort of idea on what you might want from these new guns. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you all next time, and remember, keep your heads up and be kind to each other. Bye now.